This is For Our Breakfast, and it's time for Fashion Friday now, where we get to know some of your favorite fashionistas, what they do, and of course experience some of their designs here in studio. Right now, I am joined by Anne-Sophie Achera. She is the creative designer and stylist of Achera, so welcome.
Thank you, Joey.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. First of all, I have to say, I love the Ankara. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This is one of your designs?
Yes, it is.
Wow, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about fashion and how it came into your life, and at what age, and when did you know this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Okay. I started in 2011. That's when I figured I want to do this, you know, and take it up as a business. But given my background, I come from a very creative family, and you know, my mom was one of those people who dressed me up and would look cute, girly. So I think I picked up bits and pieces of that from her, and yeah, I think it's just innate because I grew up, you know, learning to kind of style myself, dress, and I think it influenced me wanting to start my own brand. So whenever we'd go for functions, whenever we'd have parties or whatever, I'd find myself having to like make my own piece, because I just didn't like the whole having to wear stuff from the stores and it's all similar, and we might look the same. So I just wanted something different. I've always just wanted to look different. So I ended up customizing my own pieces. She introduced me to her tailors. So I'd go sketch, have my pieces made, and you know, the responses I'd get from like weddings, functions was great. So after hanging out, you know, with some of my friends and family, they kind of advised, you know what, you should pick this. I was just from high school, so it's just that period when you're trying to figure out, okay, I need to go to uni, but in the meantime, what can I do to get some cash? So because people were responding positively, I decided, okay, let me do this and take it up. And I think that's how it started. So I used to make custom pieces. You'd see like this and you'd be like, oh, I love this. Did you make it? Yeah. Can I have it? Yeah. Give me 2 weeks.
Was it occurring to you at this point that this is something that you can live off of, your talent?
At that particular point, to be fair, no. Yeah, it was just something more like a hobby. And yeah, so for me, it was just, you know, it's a hobby and people are appreciating my style, and yeah, it's fun, let's do this.
Yeah. In addition to being a creative designer, you're also a stylist. I know you've worked in magazines and done styling for different photo shoots. And what's that like, and how different is it from personal styling? Yeah,
so initially I did, I worked backwards. So I did start from like getting myself in the fashion industry through working like with magazines, and my first magazine was True Love magazine. So I worked for Carol Mandy Media. It was interesting. I think that's where I learned, you know, most of my basics. That's where I got to understand
the business.
The business, exactly, because I was hands-on, and you know, you're working with all these photographers, you're trying to have different styles, understanding different body shapes and women, and you know, culture and professions, like what cannot be allowed in certain places, you know. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, and they're pretty intense work days, would you say?
Yes,
they're pretty long.
Yeah,
I don't like photo shoots for that reason, because I'm like, listen, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, the shoots are very intense. Sometimes we'd have to be on set by 5 a.m. Call time could be 5, depending on what the theme is, you know. If we're doing like, so there's the basic styling, I'd call it just day-to-day styling, and then you have like the fashion shoots where it's lifestyle, and you know, you're probably going on set somewhere and you have to go all out, and it's quite intense. So you must, you know, have a good team where, you know, you're just like winging it.
Right. The team is important.
The team is very
because you've got
important.
to stores, you've got to meet whoever it is the models are.
The models, your assistants, just the whole team. It's what I think helps you achieve whatever, you know, work you're trying to do.
Right. So you said you've styled for True Love, for Drum, I think, as well?
Yeah, I've done True Love, I've done Drum as well, and Couture Africa as well. Yeah. So I started with True Love, and you know, I grew in the business. Went to Drum as well, then Couture Africa. Then I did take a break to go study a bit.
Okay. What did you study?
Yes, I have a background in development studies, and I did my master's in law and diplomacy. So I do, you know, work as well.
Real work? No.
Yeah, like, yeah, career.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But I like how you've, you know, pursued your fashion dream as well. You have your own fashion house,
Yes.
which you recently rebranded. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so my brand is Achara, that's my surname, and I rebranded it after, like I said, I started working in, you know, with magazines, interacting with different people in the fashion industry. So I kind of understood what I wanted my brand to be more like, as opposed to what it was before. Remember when I was just starting, I wasn't too sure, but you know. So now I rebranded it last year in February, and I was, you know, sure of what I want to do, what I want my brand to portray, the kind of woman I'm trying to promote and, you know, designing for. So I think, yeah.
What is your brand about? Who do you design for? Who is that woman that you design for, and what are your pieces inspired by?
Yeah.
Because I know you brought some models today that we're going to take a look at their outfits.
Yeah.
But talk to us about what your brand represents.
So Achara is for the bold, diversified lady. And by this I mean, sometimes it's a reflection of my life, because you find yourself, you have a lot you need to do, and you need to be bold in life, like when you're out there. And they always say how you look says a lot about who you are without having, you know, without you saying much.
Speak,
so exactly. So I'm always promoting that you have to look your best and you have to be bold, and just trying to avoid when you're going to work, you can't typically dress up.
Yeah.
And like in law, actually, you know, you can't really wear extravagant pieces, but you can
lots
still
of color, lots of prints.
Exactly. But there's a way you can, you know, play around with shapes, patterns, even if it's basic colors. So the Achara woman is, you know, bold, lively, and just a go-getter. She's out to get what she wants, you know. And so
let's take a look at some of your designs. You brought some friends along on the other side of the studio. I think we'll start with the lady on the right there, with the two different Ankara pieces, I'm assuming. Talk to us about that with the green sort of turquoise on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's walk us through that.
That's one actually of my favorite pieces. The whole look, actually.
Okay.
The top is a billow sleeve top, and the skirt is just a pencil midi skirt, and the concept behind it was going for like a more 80s, but you know, professional-ish look. Like, the idea here is mixing prints. I know people don't think they can mix two different prints.
It's a tricky part of fashion.
It is, especially if it's Ankara. I'm sure, like, if it was other fabrics, you can find yourself playing around with them. But then, when it comes to prints, it's very, you know, different, and that's what makes the statement. So I feel like if you even have a work function in the evening, you can just dress up this way. You can go to church this way. It's just like you're sophisticated. You're not saying much. Just let the prints do the talking, and yeah.
Yeah, I think you said mixing prints and how that can be tricky. Why do those two prints go together?
Okay, so why I would pair those two together is we have a common color, and that's the green, the dark green. So it kind of complements, and there's a lot of brown on both. So it's more of a complementary mix as opposed to contrast.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not too far off. So the idea is when you have two prints, you just kind of try and see what works. And
okay, we're going to move on to your next model, something completely different there. Tell us about what she's wearing.
Yeah, so for that one, it's like just a sassy, flirty, you know, cosmopolitan girl in the city. I just like the frills because they're quite trendy right now, and you know, it's just adds something to the basic, because the dress is just a simple fit and flare.
Yeah.
But you know, the flirty off shoulder.
Right.
With
Creates
heels,
a nice like cutout.
Exactly. So you can even party in that. You know, I'm all about.
So this is a look to go out in.
You can go out in it. You can go with it. You can go with it for a wedding function. If you want it like a little longer, it's possible. But yeah, it's really about how you're feeling. But it's a very it's a look that can transition to many. Right.
So a lot of times when I talk to stylists and designers and I see some of their work, some people might say, this is like actual wearable fashion. You know, do you design wearable fashion, would you say, or do you design for runway? Like who do you design for?
Okay, so I have I think it's good to do both. I do both. I do runway fashion, and that's like your creativity.
I know you've been involved in fashion shows.
Yes, I have.
Previously, maybe you can talk about that as well.
Yeah, so when I do runways, it's more of my creativity. So they might not be really wearable, but there's something about them that I can remove. Let's say if I just remove the tail, like the extension, then it becomes a piece you can wear. So I bear in mind, like, how do I transition this piece for someone who, an ordinary lady, to kind of like wear. So I do both. Like I'll have the runway piece and then just remove maybe if it's the extra arms or just something, because for the runway, for me, it's more of creativity, for people to appreciate your vision and, you know, your talent.
Yeah, you've been involved in what local fashion shows have you?
Local fashion weeks. I've done Swahili Fashion Week, both in Nairobi. There was one time in 2012 they had one in Nairobi, and I've done one in Zanzibar as well. I've done Addis Fashion Week as well, and I'm looking to do a couple of more this year. So
yeah, wow.
And I did a lot of Fafa with Anne Makrit when it was still on.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that's
how is, I mean, I'm trying to to understand how you do what you do in addition to your background. I mean, are you using law? Are you that part of your life? How do you balance?
How do I balance it?
Fashion.
Yeah, it's quite intense, but it's all about planning and organizing yourself. And like I said, I started way back with a team who I work with till today. So they always know how I prefer my things, you know, the tailors and the delivery people, the assistants. So my fashion team is so, I've learned to treat them well, just have proper policies. Now that you're asking how I bring, you know, I just have proper policies, and we work together well. And then when I'm doing my 9 to 5, I am not feeling like
So you are actively involved in your 9 to 5?
Yeah.
Which is, where do you work?
So I work in the development world. It's an NGO, and yeah.
And then you
I do
still
fundraising
have
and
this
and I still
other passion that is also a business
that has to run. And you know, we have deliveries to make. We stock in different shops in Nairobi at the Two Rivers Mall. So things have to go.
Yeah.
But it's all about working well with the team, and I think I've worked for long with them, so it makes it very easy. We know how things work, and
so it's important to retain.
It's important to retain people
you.
and just treat them well. At the end of the day, just have an understanding, and you grow.
Wow, that's incredible. Where do you see Achera in the future? Where do you see your fashion line taking you?
I'd want to grow, expand my brand internationally. Right now, I'm looking at you know, globally around Africa, to expand to different stores. Like I said, I've already started stocking in Nairobi.
So you said that Two
Rivers Mall, that is the designer studio shop. That's where you'll find my products. And yeah, so I'm just looking to grow around Nairobi and Africa at large. I've already gotten a few people who will be stocking my products around Africa that I'll be announcing soon. So my products will be available. Also, you can shop online.
Oh, tell us the website.
Yeah, that's www.achera.com. That's where you can find our products. You just go online, pick whatever you need.
Achera spelled
A for Anne Sophie, and the other one is Achera. So www.aachera.com.
Is where people can find
That's where you can find our products online. And we also have our pieces in the US. In a boutique store. So
oh, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, for the people there who cannot get the pieces easily can shop from there.
Are you still actively involved in styling, or are you just focusing on designing right now?
I am. I'm often called, you know, to do photo shoots. I work very closely with a few stylists, Eddie. So we do a couple of things together, and I love it. So whenever I'm called,
still for magazines.
More like personal styling now.
Okay, personal styling.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to someone who has an interest in any aspect of fashion, of styling, of designing, of anything that you've done, and is thinking, well, I don't know, because a lot of times we you know, we're told you can't live off of this. This is not something that will sustain you. Get another job, get a 9 to 5, which you have. So what would be advice?
Okay, I would say for me, what I would advise is, once you establish what it is you want to do, if you want to focus on the styling, like, find a way to work like I said, I work backwards. I knew the goal was to start my own brand, my fashion brand, but I needed to understand the business. So what did I do? I went back, got myself in the industry through magazines, and just interact and talk to people in the industry, see how things are done. Then once you establish, okay, this is it, then you eliminate what you don't need and kind of just focus and just go. It's hard. It's a cutthroat industry.
Yeah.
You just have to be feisty and just be determined and just go for it. And I believe if you're passionate about something, I took a break for some 2 years when I was studying, but I never felt anything. So I would just encourage anyone, you know, if it's exactly what you want to do, just focus on it. Just put your head down. Don't listen to the noise.
To the noise.
Nah, that's too much noise. Just focus, and yeah, just talk to the right people, mentors, and I think you can make it.
Can you share your social media handles really quickly?
Yes. For my fashion brand, that's A_ACHERA, Achera, and
This is on Instagram.
that's on Instagram. Facebook, it's Achera Fashion Studio, and my website is www.aachera.com, achera.com with a double A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Anne-Sophie, for stopping by and talking to us
Thank
a
you.
little bit about your fashion journey.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on the rebrand, and thank you for bringing us some of your designs and seeing them live and in person. Anne-Sophie Achera is a creative designer and stylist at Achera, so make sure you check out some of her fashions if you're interested in picking up some of her designs.